Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on such a cool pistol. This is the Sig Sauer P320 XFive Legion. Yeah, this is a firearm that I have been wanting to try out for a long time to see if it's all it's cracked up to be and what all people claim it's about. But before I get into this video, I always want to thank the people that make these possible. And first and foremost is the owner of this gun, a local subscriber named Ken. Ken, thank you so much for lending this to the channel for review. I want to thank my Patreons as always. Their monthly support goes a long way in keeping all the lights on around here and providing the content that you guys see. And I want to thank a very special person, Mark from Brownworks. I always do a little ad read for Brownworks at this point because Brownworks is a company that provides all of the ammunition for these range reports. And Brownworks is a custom grip company. And let me tell you, they make some of the best damn grips out there. I can't tell you how high quality these grips are and all the options that Mark provides his customers. He has amazing customer service and can make anything that you can possibly imagine that you would want for your firearm in the realm of quality wood grips. But I'm doing this a little bit different than I normally do because I got a comment on one of my videos this week saying, I can't watch your videos anymore, Jason, because you have a sponsor. I don't want to sit through that ad. Well, I'm going to tell you, this is not my primary job. This is just a hobby. Right now, it is about 9:40 in the evening. I've already been to work for 10 hours. I spent time with my kids, my wife, and did things around the house. This is my hobby. I don't get paid for this. And so when I go to the range and I shoot a whole bunch of ammunition, well, that would bankrupt me to keep this content coming. So if you like YouTube content, YouTube Second Amendment content, you need to be supporting the sponsors of your favorite firearms channels. It doesn't have to be me and it doesn't have to be Brownworks, but I'm going to tell you, if you like the Texas Gun Vault, you need to go over to Brownworks website. I have a link in the description and I'm going to pin a comment. You need to send Mark an email over there and thank him for supporting the Texas Gun Vault and Second Amendment content, because without amazing businesses like his, this content could not be created. So, I know this is a little bit different. If you're unfamiliar with Brownworks, go over to his website, see all he has to offer. I know I'm rolling in a few pictures here of his amazing work. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. And most importantly, thank him for supporting the Second Amendment and Second Amendment content on YouTube. So, when you do contact him, please tell him the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so let's talk about this amazing pistol from Sig Sauer. As I mentioned, this is the P320 XFive Legion. And according to Sig's website, this is supposed to be the flagship model of the P320. Now, the P320 is a gun that hit the market with a lot of fanfare, and its biggest accomplishment is that it was adopted by the US military as the M17 and M18, which replaced the Beretta M9 and the Sig M11 as their service pistols. And that says a lot because there was a lot of competition, and I know that's still a very contentious thing to say because many people think some other companies should have won that contract. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just saying Sig won. And the P320 is a unique platform because it is so modular. The serialized part is the trigger group, not the frame. So you can have different frames, different slides, different calibers, different barrels, you name it, and it's all built around the serialized fire control group. So what I think the XFive Legion is going for is to show off everything the pistol can be. A military pistol, you have that Legion logo. I know this is not the particular gun that was adopted by the military, but it's supposed to have that military look and military provenance. It also has a bunch of cool lightning cuts and a lot of things that's going to make this gun accurate, like a bull barrel and a full-length guide rod. Those, I think, are kind of paying homage to the gun as a competition gun. Then we also have a very innovative gun because of this tungsten-infused frame. Essentially, this is a polymer frame with tungsten infused in the polymer, so it gives it the flexibility and the versatility of polymer, but the weight of steel. It's a very forward-thinking pistol that I think 10 years ago people could not have imagined would even exist. So, what are the things that I like and don't like about this gun? I always want to start with the positive, and there's so much positive about this gun I want to talk about. First and foremost is this tungsten frame. It definitely feels heavier. Now, this I don't think would be a great carry gun because of that weight. But it feels like a polymer gun in your hand, but it weighs like a steel gun. And I think that's really going to help with the recoil management. In fact, when it came to the P320 that I personally built out of a custom fire control group, I bought this same grip module, but the compact version that's a little bit shorter. I really like the color of this gun. This is a very special color just for the Legion series. This is a dark gray. You cannot buy any parts on Sig's website that are this particular color. I do like the fact that it does have an upgraded trigger, but I don't like the fact that it's flat face, but it does have a skeletonized trigger and it's supposed to be finely tuned. I also really like the sights of this gun. These sights are supposed to be made by a company called Dawson Precision. It's a little bit different than your standard Signite sights. I actually like the way these look, and I like the fact they're a little bit taller. On my custom P320, the sights are a little bit low, and on the profile of the gun, you don't even notice them. It kind of looks a little bit unbalanced. I think I'm going to try to buy a set of these because they look so nice. I also love the fact that this gun has such an awesome magwell on it. Normally, I don't like magwells. They're usually too big and obtrusive. This one is just right. It's definitely big and flared, but you don't really notice it over the standard type of grip that you'll see on a P320, and it definitely does that job really well. It's really hard to miss when you're inserting that magazine. But now let's talk about a couple things here on the table that I noticed about the gun that I don't like, and they're very few and far between. I've already mentioned one, and that is going to be the flat face trigger there. I just prefer my triggers to be a little bit more curved, and I don't like the fact that this gun does not have a manual safety. Now, some people are going to say you don't need a manual safety on a striker-fired polymer handgun, and I totally get where you're coming from on that. I do agree with that on guns like Glocks. However, the Glock does have one other safety that I do like, and that's, I think, what some people call the dingus, that little lever inside of the trigger that prevents the trigger from coming back unless your finger is on it. So without that dingus and without the manual safety, I just kind of wish it had some other way of preventing the gun from being fired. Now, I do know there have been a few lawsuits in the past on particular P320s that have supposedly gone off without anybody's finger on the trigger. And I just kind of feel like having one of those extra safety mechanisms, which is found on a lot of other guns like Smith & Wesson's, would go a long way in helping the reputation of the P320 and the P320 Legion. Now, there are some versions of the P320 that do have that manual safety, like the M17 and M18. I really feel on their flagship model, they really need to offer that, but they choose not to. So, but that's just a personal preference. I know some people are going to disagree, but you came here for my opinion. All right, so let's get this thing to the range. Let's see how it shoots. I'm going to set the target up at 7 yards. I'm going to load one of these really big magazines. I think it's 15 or 17 rounds full. I'm going to just see what this gun can do, see what the recoil management is like, and also see if I can handle this flat face trigger and shoot it well. So let's see how I do. So although I'm shooting it a little bit low, that group is spectacular. This gun seems to be really accurate and very low recoiling. And it's because the gun weighs so much because of this tungsten-infused frame. I really like that. And I gotta say, the trigger is really good when there's ammunition in the gun. One of the things I've never liked about the P320, as compared to a gun like a Glock or a Smith & Wesson M&P, is that when you dry fire it, it really doesn't sound like that striker goes into the chamber with any force. It's kind of anemic sounding. and it feels a little bit anemic sounding. You're like, there is no way that striker is going to set off a primer. But then when you shoot it, it feels absolutely fantastic. And I've never had a light primer strike with one of these. It just seems counterintuitive. So dry firing this, I don't think really gives you the true feeling of the trigger. You really have to go to the range and shoot it for yourself. It has a very different feel when you're shooting it with live ammunition versus dry firing. I don't even think dry firing it with a snap cap does it justice. It's just not the same, but it shoots way better than it dry fires. So that's also something that's kind of qualitative, but just my personal experience with the P320 platform. So far, I really like this. All right, so let's do what I call the accuracy portion. And I know some of you guys say this isn't really an accuracy test because you're not bench resting the pistol. Well, I'm not here to do that. I just want to see if I can shoot this pistol at a longer distance, see what happens to my group. Does it open up? Does the point of impact change? Well, we're going to find out. I'm going to set the target out at about double the distance, between 12 and 14 yards, load up another magazine, and I'm going to aim for the head on this IDPA target. So let's see how it shoots. All right, so let me explain what you see on the target there. I had to kind of walk those shots up. This gun just shoots low for me, and so I noticed it, and I started to kind of walk it into the head of that IDPA target. And I thought I did pretty good. So it doesn't look like my group was that great, but trust me, it was shooting where I was aiming. I just had to get that aim up a little bit more. So once I got used to that front sight and where it wants to shoot, I had no problem. I'm really happy with that group and how it's performing. So now I want to give my wife Becky a shot. I'm kind of curious what she's going to think about this. Normally she's not a big fan of the larger, heavier firearms, but she does like the fact that they have such low recoil. So I'm really interested in getting her thoughts. So I'm going to give her a magazine, set up the target, and see what she thinks and what she likes and doesn't like about this pretty cool firearm. So I thought she did pretty well for her first time shooting this particular gun. She said that she liked it. She wasn't necessarily completely engrossed by it, but that's just because she likes the way guns look. Well, so do I, but a gun has to have a certain aesthetic look for her. This one, she said, kind of looked a little bit boring. I get where she's coming from it because it is one color and she probably kind of wishes it was in pink. But she did say two very positive things about it. She thought it recoiled very low and she really liked the weight of this gun as a range gun, and she really liked the texture of this grip. You guys probably hear me say in most of my range reports, she is a little bit grip sensitive. So if a grip has too aggressive of a texture, she thinks it just kind of wears in her hand a little bit weird and she doesn't like it. Well, this, she said, had the perfect texture. It's definitely grippy, but it's not aggressive. I kind of see where she's coming from with that. So she really liked the way this gun shot. She just maybe wishes it was in pink or looked a little bit different, but she had absolutely no complaints about it. So it does get her approval. So take that for what it's worth, and I'm glad she shot it so well. All right, so the next thing I want to do is see, can I change the magazine out in this thing really fast? This thing has one awesome magwell and big magazine. Well, I'm only going to shoot 5 rounds through each one of these magazines, but I want to see how fast I can change them out, because maybe you're a competitive shooter, maybe you're going to use this for home defense, and you need to change this magazine fast. It has that magwell. I think this thing's going to work absolutely fantastic, and when I push this magazine release, that mag just drops right out of there. It shoots out of there with no problem whatsoever. So I have a feeling I'll be able to get this gun back in action really fast. So let's see how I do with 2 magazines with 5 rounds each, if you're going to use this for defensive or competitive use. So it definitely works as designed. I can change that magazine out really fast, and something I did notice when I did this is that not only does this gun have the front cocking serrations, but the coating that is on the slide is kind of grippy, and so you can grab this slide from anywhere and get a nice purchase on it. So if you don't necessarily want to do maybe the slingshot method to rack the slide and you like to grab it from up here, you get plenty of surface and a nice texture to rack that slide. So I think some people are really going to like that, and I don't know if Sig did that on purpose, but I really like the way that feels. It's a little bit nicer than maybe my M17 or M18. Those can be a little bit slipperier or a little bit more slick. This, really nice. And so I was able to shoot that kind of fast. And that trigger is growing on me. It is really light and it's really crisp for a polymer striker fired handgun. All right, so there's one more test that I want to do, and that is going to be the hollow points. Some people are going to carry this for defense. In fact, when I looked this gun up online, the first thing that popped up was the plethora of holsters for this. So yeah, people are going to carry this, and I have no doubt it's going to run hollow points, but I always want to make sure, because I have been surprised by guns in the past, especially guns that are higher end, that have maybe tighter tolerances. Sometimes those hollow points don't feed very well. Well, I'm going to use some Federal Hydra Shock, a pretty standard and common hollow point ammunition, and just see if I can shoot 10 or 12 rounds of this without any issue. All right, and as expected, the firearm ran great with that Federal Hydra Shock, so I don't think you're gonna have any problem with hollow points on this. So, what is my final thoughts on this pretty awesome and pretty cool firearm from Sig Sauer, the P320 XFive Legion? Well, I have to say, it really exceeded my expectations. I was expecting it to be nice. After all, I don't think Sig would make this their flagship product in the P320 fleet and not have it be a quality gun or shoot well or not have the latest and greatest and coolest options. It really is fantastic and shoots better than I was expecting. This tungsten-infused frame, I really think, is the highlight of this pistol. It shoots different than a metal frame gun, and it shoots different than a polymer frame gun. It's really innovative and really neat. The trigger in it, despite it having that flat face, is really nice. I think I shot the gun pretty darn accurate. I'm happy with my groupings. It's a fun gun to shoot. It definitely has, for me, the aesthetic appeal. I really think that is a beautiful gun. I really like those lightning cuts up there on the top, a little bit different than some of their other custom slides that they offer on their website. It's just neat. It's really cool, and I'm really excited that I got to shoot it. So, on my star system, how would I rate the P320 XFive Legion? Well, it's pretty darn close to a perfect review. It exceeded my expectations. It shot better than I thought it would, and it made me look better than I really am. However, because it has that safety issue, and by the safety issue I mean there's no dingus in the trigger and no manual safety, and the fact it has the flat face trigger, Sig just for some reason wants to push those flat face triggers and not even give us an option of a curved trigger in these higher end P320s. I have to give this 4.75 stars out of 5. Almost perfect. Now I know the things that I complain about are a me thing. It's my personal opinion, and some of you are going to go, that gun is perfect the way it is. That flat face trigger is exactly how I want it. Having no safety on it is exactly how I want it. In that case, it's probably going to be a 5 out of 5 star gun for you. But I have to rate the gun based on my personal opinion, and I tell you what my opinion is and why I think the way that I do. You are free to disagree, but I document my experiences and I try to explain why I feel the way that I do. And as I said, you are free to disagree. But 4.75 out of 5 stars for this really awesome pistol from Sig. So I want to know, have you guys ever shot one of these, especially with the tungsten infused frame? What do you think? Is it as neat as Sig says it is? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. So I hope you learned something from this review and enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed taking this awesome firearm to the range. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.